This story is described by our Sheikh Johnson, and the story goes like this. This was the story of a young boy and his father who was a sheikh and who used to give dawah among the community. Every week they would go and hand out booklets, Islamic booklets, dawah pamphlets, calling people to the right path, trying to give them advice. And the boy was only 15 years of age. And then this weekend that came, it was freezing cold outside, and the rain started to come down. And the young boy got all his clothes on, and he got his jacket on, and he went to his father. And he said, "Father, I am ready to go." "Ready to go where?" his father asked. He said, "I am ready to go and hand out the books." And his father said, "Son, I am not going to go this week. It's too cold, it's raining, son." But the son, he said, "Father, we must go. We must still do it. There's still people walking in the street, Father. We must go and do it." The father, he said, "Son, it's cold. I don't want to go this week. I want to take rest. It's too cold." And then the son, he said, "Father, we must do it." And then he said, "Father, will you allow me to go by myself and do it?" So his father agreed and let him go by himself. The boy went downstairs and he began to hand out leaflets, walking through the streets and handing out leaflets. The rain started to come down so hard, but he kept the leaflets in his plastic bag, handing them out to people. But now there was only one leaflet left, one dawah pamphlet left, and he wanted to give it. He wanted to accomplish his mission, but he could not find anyone. As because now the streets were starting to get flooded. The rain was pouring down. It was freezing cold. So he looked where he could go to give his leaflet. He saw a house and he went to the door and he began to knock on the door. He knocked once. He knocked twice. He began to push the button. And he said that he did not know why he stayed there, but he continued to stay there, and he kept pushing the buzzer, pushing and pushing the buzzer, again and again, until eventually a woman opened the door who was crying. A woman opened the door who was crying, and the little boy smiled at her and said, "Allah loves you. I'm sorry that I have annoyed you. Allah loves you, and He is your caretaker. He is the one who will take care of you, and He has brought you this book." And he gave the book to this woman. And then he went home. The very next week, on the very next Jum'ah, in the Friday prayer, the Imam gave the sermon. And after the sermon, he asked the people, "Is there anything that you have?" Because he allowed people to do fatwa, and one person started to speak up the back of the mosque in the women's section. And it was a lady, and she said, "Yes, I have something to say." She said, "By Allah, a few months ago my husband died." She said, "I was not a Muslim. A few months ago my husband died, and since then I have been so sad. I have cried every day. In fact, I thought it was the end. I gave up. And then last week I got up a ladder and I got a rope and I tied the rope to the top of the house and I made a nose. And I got a ladder and I began to climb up the ladder. And I put the rope around my neck. And I had given up. I had just given up. And I was ready to give in. And then I heard this buzzer. I heard the door knocking and buzzing. At first, I didn't think of doing anything. But then it kept buzzing and buzzing and buzzing, and it was annoying. So I thought I would go down and see who is it, who could it be in this rain. So she took the nose off her neck. She was about to kill herself. She took the nose off her neck and went down to the door. And she said she opened the door, and she said she saw a little boy standing there with a smile like an angel that she had never seen before. And he said to her that Allah loves you and He is here to take care of you. Allah loves you. And I am sorry to bother you, but He has brought you this book. And by Allah, she said, she went home. She went inside and began to read the book, about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And she said after reading the book that she completely now disregarded the idea of killing herself, and then she continued to read more about the book, more about Islam, until she got more booklets on Islam. And then she became Muslim, and now she is in the mosque. Now she is in the masjid, praying with the congregation on the Friday prayer. By Allah, my brothers and sisters, do not despair on the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do not despair on Allah's mercy. Never ever despair on the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my brothers and sisters. Allah loves you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you, and He wants you to return to Him. Do not be of those who are lost along the way. So let's turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if we have not turned yet. Let us turn to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before it is too late. That's the moral of the story. See you in the next story.